Welcome back to Following Note on a Stormlight podcast. This week is episode 87, and we have opened part 5 of Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson. Paul, how are you?
How am I? I don't know. Maybe I'll figure that out as we go. I am hoping you can help me.
All right. Elliot, how are you?
I'm the deer in the headlights, the drinking from the Sanderlanche fire hose. Oh goodness. We were warned. We were warned about part 5 of Oathbringer, and it is living up to expectations.
It's where we are right now is like, there's the structure or layout for a story or a movie, right? Where it's like whatever intro, storyline, and it has a little mountaintop that's the climax, and then the big decline. And I think we're at the tip of the mountain. Honestly, it's not. It's pretty crazy, but it's not that crazy yet. You can tell we're leading up to a point, or at the point. It's right here. It's the point's right here, and we're about to tip off the edge of the roller coaster.
I shared this.
That's what I think.
I shared this chapter split with our Patreon supporters before I released it to you guys, and my feedback I got was, "Man, you're mean." This is the worst cliffhanger you could ever have at the end of 116. But here we are.
Yeah. One of our supporters, Ranks, check out his YouTube channel. He he made a comment which I thought was hilarious, and he was like, "I think holding off reading and ending on the cliffhangers in part 5 of Oathbringer is the punishment used to torment the heralds in damnation." That's the severity.
Who's on our mug, Paul?
Our mug. Let me show you our mug. I'm really excited to share this. Look at this. Okay. So I don't know, before I show it off, when we started this podcast, we commissioned a lovely piece of art which kind of shows the landscape of Roshar a bit with a high storm, and there's 3 little people out there. That's us. That's the 3 of us right there. And we now have that on a mug. Whew, that's the high storm there, and you can go around. And very nice mug. I have to say,
nice.
This is the best mug I own, actual mug. I don't know if you're not going to be able to really tell in there, but that's us right there. We're 3 little specks. If you have the mug in person, you can see it a little better. But very cool mug. Very awesome mug. And we do not have a new support on the mug this week, so I wanted to show off our new mug, which is part of our Light Eyes bundle for supporters of, I believe, Shard Bearer tier. Yes, for the Shard Bearer or higher tier. So, super awesome mug. Here's to Following Note on and our artwork that we have now. So very awesome.
I have my own here as well, but it came chipped in the mail, so I kept this one for myself. So I have chip and you don't. Mine's special. Haha.
Yeah, one of a kind.
Exactly.
Literally a one of a kind mug. Mm-hmm.
Ooh, it's a little leaky. It's okay. All right. What are your 2 words to summarize this episode, Paul?
My 2 words to summarize this episode are knowledge and void people.
It's a hyphenated?
Nope, just one word. Void people.
Oh, okay.
It's like Voidbringer, void people.
So void people, void spread.
Okay. Elliot?
To do justice to the very large events in these chapters, I had to find some very large words. So my words are prognostication and unaccompanied.
Oh,
hold on. I'm Googling it.
All right, let's look up these 4 words and talk about Oathbringer.
Do not ask me how to spell that. Would you like me to read the definition of prognostication?
I would, yes, go.
According to Google, prognostication, a noun, the action of foretelling or prophesying future events.
Indeed.
I learned something today.
I did too. Well,
All right, Elliot, what does it mean within the context of the story?
Paul just told us what it means, but it was the longest word I could come up with that had to do with foretelling the future. And we have a moment in these chapters where Shallan reminds us to beware of anyone who claims to see the future or foretell the future. And we've been told that before, but Shallan reminds us again after the events of these couple chapters. That has a whole new meaning for me, and we'll talk about it when we get to it. My second word, I was trying to use the word alone, which I feel like is cheating a bit because that's the title of one of these chapters. But there were so many references in not just that chapter, but the other chapters we read as well this week about standing alone or going into something alone. So unaccompanied was the most letters I could string together that mean alone.
And Paul?
My words. Void people, I'll start there, is for, surprisingly, all the void people, if you want to call them that we see. We see at the end Amaram and his people in their Sadius coats, as fused with red eyes. It depicts them with red eyes and surge binding, so I'm assuming that they're fused and evil. Also, what is the deal with Renarin? What is the deal with Renarin? This is my biggest question right now. The biggest thing that, like, I listened to this, like, in the car, right? And I was, like, gasping for air whenever it was, like, it shows Jasnah and she, like, is approaching Renarin, sees a Sprin, and summons her shard blade in chapter 115, and I was like, no, what? Oh, hold on. That was easily my biggest moment. And I also thought the end of the split was at 115, and I was just whatever. Anyways,
and then you read 116, and she gets like 2 steps closer, and that's it.
Yes, she's like, bad sprint, and then that's it. Yeah, and yeah, nothing else happened. But that is easily my biggest thing. I'm like, what the heck is gonna happen there? I'm guessing he's bonded a void sprint. I don't know how that happens, but I'm guessing same thing as Amaram. I need the like whiteboard with all the like, strings right now. But yeah, void people.
What was your second word?
What we're talking about. Knowledge. Oh, I totally forgot. Knowledge is I don't know if I could really find a good word to summarize what I was meaning with this. But it is with Jasnah, because Jasnah knew that the Spren was wrong. Like, she knew this, and like no one else has any idea. Like, no one else knows the things Jasnah knows, and I don't fully understand why or how. Like, it seems like she is like a Hoid, like she's on like Hoid's level of like knowing everything ever in the world, how everything works and stuff, and I don't get it. Because we know she's not like an ancient thing like Hoid. But
so this is definitely a rereader thing, but throughout this entire book, Jasnah has been taking notes on different Spren, and like she's been sitting near Thiru and taking notes on different people's Spren and asking, can I see your shard blade so Shallan can sketch it, that type of thing. And Renarin has always conveniently not been there. And she specifically said, hey, I need to go sketch Renarin's Spren, and he leaves. It's not like super obvious to see when you're reading it, but she has been collecting like truth, like she's been trying to find a good Truth Watcher Spren, and Renarin has not been willing to show her his Spren. If you go back and reread, but
yeah.
I was confused by this because I thought there was a moment we did see Renarin's Spren, and I have to go back and reread it. Maybe it was a little bit kind of misleading there, and that we thought we were seeing a Spren and we weren't. But I could have sworn there was a moment we were like, "Oh yeah, Prism of Light. That's the Truth Watcher Spren thing."
What you are referring to is one of those recorded gemstones in the wall of what a Truth Watcher Spren is supposed to look like, and and that is what you are remembering. It looks like a prism. it's one of those little gemstone and like from the old Knights Radiant thing, and that is not what Renarin has.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought this too, but I did remember that we were told a description of a Lightweaver Spren. We've never had like the point
Truthwatcher.
of view of like, oh yeah, sorry. Did I say Nightwatcher?
You said Lightweaver.
Oh, I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I'm just frazzled right now. We have never seen a Truthwatcher Spren. But we did get that description. But yeah, we've never had like a Renarin point of view interacting. I've been waiting for that because I've been really curious to see about a Truthwatcher Spren, but here we are. And the description that it gives in, I believe, chapter 15 is wrong. It says it's like shining light like upward or something, and it's like red and stuff. Very Void Spren-esque. So I don't know what this means. I'm hoping that somehow you can cast the Spren out and not hurt Renarin himself. But I don't know. We'll see.
Did you guys catch the point of view characters at the title of part 5?
Oh, I was
list
making
of
a big
12?
deal about it. Yeah.
Let me read them again for you. The Knights Radiant, Ash, Navani, Adolin, Taravangian, Yanagon, Polona, Vire, and Wit.
I know. Trevor. I literally listened to that like 12 times. Like in my audiobook, I couldn't sit and look at it, and I was like, I need to know all these names. And so I played it back on. Okay, I listen to my audiobook now at like 1.5 or 1.7 times speed. I put it on 1 time speed, which felt so slow. It was the weirdest thing in the world. It felt like the world was in slow motion. And I listened to that over and over, and I was at first confused because it doesn't say Dalinar, and I was like, okay, that's probably like the Night Radiant thing summarizing them. But we don't know like half these people and things. Like, also Wit. I'm excited for that. That'll be fun. So is this the part where you tell us who all those people are?
No, I just wanted to bring it up because it's fun.
uh,
I mean, you see Yanagon's, or one of Yanagon's point of views in this episode, so, I mean, we'll get there. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I do want to talk about 114, because it's kind of its own thing before we jump into our action sequence of the rest of the book. Spoilers. All right. 114. We finally, you guys have been waiting for this for 2 books now of Dalinar visiting the Nightwatcher. Dalinar finally visits the Nightwatcher, and he doesn't actually get his boon from the Nightwatcher. So everybody who goes to the Nightwatcher gets a boon and a curse from the Nightwatcher, and everybody assumes that that's what Dalinar has, is a boon and a curse. Dalinar's is slightly different. Do one of you guys want to pick this up and we can start talking about it?
I sure will. So Dalinar goes and we see the Nightwatcher. First, we learn that the Nightwatcher doesn't always like appear to everyone, right? Because one of the people he's with goes and is like, "There's nothing here," or no one came. So he goes. We see the Nightwatcher.
Can I pause real quick?
Yes.
Who is that? Who's been here before and hasn't, and the Nightwatcher didn't appear?
I listened to this less than an hour ago.
What's his name?
Know.
His name is Felt, which meant nothing to me.
Okay. Pause. Paul, listen up. Elend frowned. An odd precaution for a simple craftsman's shop, I should think. Felt nodded. That's not the half of it, my lord. We managed to sneak one of our best men to the building itself. We don't think he was spotted, but he had a remarkably difficult time hearing what's going on inside.
What?
I think you broke him.
I'm okay. So one, I'm trying to remember the context of that a little bit.
don't go too far with it because
Okay.
we'll get there eventually with Elliot. But
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw that in there for you.
Okay. Okay.
That,
All right.
it's in the first book of Mistborn for you, Elliot.
Okay.
Interesting.
All right. Anyway, keep going,
Okay.
Paul.
Okay. I did not think that would be a notable person. I was like, this is just insert character here who goes to see the Nightwatcher. Anyways, Felt doesn't see anything, doesn't talk to anyone, nothing happens. Dalinar goes, and the Nightwatcher does come and is like, what do you wish? I can make you wealthy. I can make you swing a sword endlessly and never grow tired. I can do anything. And then I don't remember if he gives a wish. I believe he gives his wish, and then the cultivation, like the god cultivation, comes. Just like, that's too big for you, little Night Watcher. Um, I'll handle this. Is that the right ordering?
Yes. So
Okay.
he breaks down. He doesn't remember what he was originally going to ask for, and he asks for forgiveness. And it confuses the Night Watcher. And the Night Watcher says, what do you mean? I can give you stuff. Like, I could give you night blood, by the way. Did you guys catch
That's
that?
true. Yes,
Yep.
I did.
Night
Yeah.
The Night Watcher has night blood with her and says, I could give you a sword that has never been beaten and bleeds black smoke. And then Dalinar's like, and then the cultivation shows up. So yes, that is the order.
I forgot for a moment that we were in the past here. And so I didn't actually put that together, that if we're trying to trace the movements or the location of Nightblood, we could use this as evidence to say the Night Watcher has Nightblood at this period of time. I actually, when I read it the first time, took that to mean that the Night Watcher could like create another Nightblood or something like that. But no, that would make sense actually, that the Night Watcher maybe has access to Nightblood at this period of time, which could be important. The much more important bit that I was getting out of all of this is exactly what Dalinar asks for, and that is forgiveness. And that is a minor, but for me, very important difference from what we've been assuming up until this point.
I
We've been
100% agree with you.
assuming,
Keep going.
and have been mildly terrified, at least I have been, that Dalinar is going to get to this point and say, I've been a terrible person. I've done horrible things. Please take away all of those memories so I don't have to remember them. That's not what he asked for. He doesn't ask for that. He asked for forgiveness, which that's big. That's a big change in the motivation of what Dalinar is doing here. Now, there's the moment there where he says, like, he forgets what he was going to originally ask for, and so he asked for forgiveness. I'm curious what he was originally going to ask for. Maybe it was, hey, take away all my nasty memories. But the fact that he's taking a much more humble approach, a much more selfless approach of, he's not asking to take away my pain. He's saying, I've done something terrible. Please give me forgiveness. And that's where the Night Watcher gets completely lost. Like, I can't give you that. I don't know what that is.
Right. You said something very specific, which a lot of people will enjoy, but we'll keep going.
Uh-oh. I'm curious, Paul, what was your kind of thought on this whole scene in general? Does this surprise or change anything you were thinking about Dalinar's journey here, or is this kind of about what you were thinking we were going to get to?
So I thought it would be more of just a straight up focus on the Night Watcher. I mean, I wasn't expecting cultivation, but also whenever it happened, even with the description of the Night Watcher and the illusion we've gotten that the Night Watcher is kind of correlated to cultivation, it made sense. It kind of clicked for me. I was listening first time through and was like, okay, cultivation's on the scene. I'm really excited to hear what's happening, but I really liked this. To answer your question, I thought it was really awesome, and a great way to start this part off. It like I couldn't wish for anything more, really. So, um, cultivation does come, and there was something interesting, which I don't think this will derail us, but like she says, "Oh, like son of honor, son of odium." You know, I don't remember what she says after that, but she's very distinct that she says, we hear son of honor used often,
Mm-hmm.
right? But not both. And that confused me, but I kind of was like, oh, it's my brain wants to say, oh, it's probably not that deep. It's just whatever. But my knowledge of the Stormlight Archive and Brandon Sanderson's writing tells me that that is everything. That this is groundbreaking, huge, and like is literally where my mind went whenever I heard that is I remember when Dalinar like used what was it, an oath gate or whatever, and the Stormfather wouldn't let him summon as a shard blade, but he summoned something. Was it an odium blade? Is he also bound to odium somehow? And just did he summon the thrill? Like did he summon cultivation? Like I don't know. Like I don't know what's happening anymore. But that's the only thing I could think of with that.
And it goes further that he's called son of odium, or he's called son of honor, son of odium, and then as cultivation is kind of like figuring out what she's going to do, she says this: "It will do me well to have a part of you, even if you ultimately become his. You are always bound to come to me. I control all things that can be grown, nurtured." So I'm now thinking, okay, we know he has a bond with the Stormfather, and through that sort of kind of honor, we've had hints that perhaps there's some kind of bond going on with odium or with the thrill, or some sort of, maybe in the past, maybe it's still in the present as well. Is he also now having some sort of bond with cultivation through this event that we're seeing right here? We also know that he's a bondsmith, which are supposed to be, one of those for each of the three gods. But now I'm thinking, is Dalinar going to be like all three bondsmith in one? Because he's got ties to all three now. Like, where's this going to go?
I mean, unite them. Am I right? Like,
Ooh, wow.
that's what I
Wow.
was. That's genuinely what I was thinking. Like,
Take
not necessarily on the
taking
page of
unite
like
them too
uniting.
far, and oops, I
Yeah,
united
I mean,
all the shards. Oops.
yeah, um, yeah. I was definitely thinking about that, Elliot, and just like, what would that mean? Like, what does that do?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, what happens when you summon three different shard blades from three different sh- deities? Like, what? I just don't know. I
I've
don't
got a
know.
blue one, and I've got a green one, and I've got a red
I've got a
one.
red one. Yeah, exactly. He's got a little collection on his wall, Yeah,
Going to go with green today. Green
yeah,
lightsaber.
yeah, exactly. But I mean,
Yeah,
if
this
anyone is gonna do it, it's our bondsmith, right? I feel like we really haven't seen the like full extent of a bondsmith. I'm assuming. I'm also hoping because like we've seen Dalinar do some neat stuff, understand languages, enter these visions and stuff, right? But I'm hoping for something more grand come the end of his book. So that would be really cool if he was like tri. He had like a triforce of.
Courage, wisdom,
yeah.
and power.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, this was a big chapter. I don't know if there's a couple other things I was going to mention, Trevor, unless you were going to
No, go
jump
ahead.
into some.
Go ahead.
I was going to talk about importance of what Dalinar's doing here.
I was going to talk about the same thing. So yeah,
and the process of like what cultivation has done to him and how it plays into his character. Because first off, we had assumed, or we were questioning previously, the Nightwatcher magic. We were kind of confused why Dalinar was regaining his memories. And we were like, if that was the Nightwatcher's curse, why is he getting it back? We don't have any, examples of that elsewhere. Well, we get that answered here. It wasn't Nightwatcher magic that really he's under. It was like a separate thing through cultivation, and the memories coming back was intentional. Cultivation says that I'm going to prune away your memories and they're going to regrow. They're going to come back. But the section where she talks about what she's going to do, she says, I'm not going to change who you are. I'm not going to change your weaknesses. I'm not going to change your ability to deal with this. What I'm going to do is prune you. I'm going to take away these memories to let you grow, and then you're going to remember those memories later on, which is a really interesting process. And I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. Like, is that cheating? If I need to grow as a person, if you come in and delete my memories of terrible things that I've done so that I can learn to be better, like, I don't know. We talked maybe a little bit in the past of like, is Dalinar asking for all his terrible memories to be removed, a cheating? And does it create a false version of who he is? Well, we've now just discovered the reality, and it's slightly different than that. Does that still mean that the Dalinar we knew 100 pages ago is a fake? I'm not sure how to answer that quite yet, but it's definitely closer to no than it would have been if it had been, hey, take away all the bad things I did in my past so I don't have to think about them. That's a lot of thought of just me spewing some of my brain processing, but I still think I need to think about this more and maybe hopefully get a few more Dalinar flashback chapters to help continue this, but maybe not.
I do think it's really important to remember that at the very end of this chapter, the price of the pruning is him losing Evie in his memories. That is the cost. The name of the chapter is the cost. That's not why he goes, and that's not what he asks for, is to remove Evie from my memory. That is the price of the pruning, is removing Evie from his memory. And he almost doesn't let her do it. He hesitates for a second and says, wait. And he's got vines literally stabbing him through the chest at that point. And he says, wait, I'm going to lose everything from her. And she says, yes, but it will regrow later. And he says, okay, do it. And that's the cost of it, is him losing memories of his wife. That's not what he asked for.
So I think maybe at the end of this book, we might have to revisit this conversation, since this is Dalinar's book, unless there's a relevant moment between now and the end of the book for us to talk about it. But I do want to revisit this once we've got the rest of this book under our belt. Is what does this mean? What does this journey that Dalinar's been mean for his character? Because I think it needs more discussion and it needs more analysis, but I want to read more before I do it.
Did you guys pick up the visuals of the Nightwatcher? Just as a side note, super weird. Like,
since she had like hands coming out of like the sides of her head and stuff. Yeah.
And she like touches him with all the hands. It's like,
yeah.
How can I help you? And you're like,
yeah.
I almost thought of like a Medusa sort of like character. It was interesting. Yeah. I did just think of one more thing actually that was relevant. At the beginning of this chapter, this is going to tie back into my prognostication word. Dalinar has a vision of the future in the first part of this chapter. And it's a little bit unclear about what exactly he's seeing, because he seems to be seeing a future that's like maybe a possible future that doesn't come into play. It like shows him completely conquering all of Roshar and kind of the bloodthirsty, get my way through violence all the time Dalinar, which we know that's not what he becomes. but I'm hypersensitive now to any sort of see the future. So I'm kind of going to stick a pin in this and say, hold on, Dalinar just had a vision of the future. We know not to trust anything that comes from the future.
Doesn't he kill Elokar in that vision and take the throne? Yeah.
Yep.
And then he just like rampages across the entirety of Roshar. Yeah.
Which doesn't happen. So it's different from like someone claiming to see the future and, hey, this is going to happen, we're going to do this. But it's still the future. So I'm going to remember this.